Okay, let's get started with lesson 5.5 and 5.6. We're doing two lessons at once today, but they're both fairly easy and not that big of a deal. So first, try your warm-up, okay? Let's see if we can remember what conditional statements are. Remember, conditional statements are written if, and then you have some sort of hypothesis, then you have some sort of conclusion. If H, then C. If this, then that. Next, you're going to write a contrapositive statement. And so remember, contrapositive is if, and then you negate the conclusion, then you negate the hypothesis. Okay, so first you have to flip around the hypothesis and the conclusion, and then you negate them. You make them not whatever they are. And finally, you're going to prove this conjecture false by finding a counterexample. Find something that makes it not be true or that proves it's not true. This is your warm-up. Please complete this on a separate sheet of paper. Remember that your daily grade comes from doing all the work, both in your notes packet and any other problems that I give you. So there are some problems that are not in your notes packet, and you're going to need to do them either off to the side or on a separate sheet of paper. So pause the video, do this warm-up on a separate sheet of paper. Now, today we are going to look at inequalities in one triangle, and then later we'll do two triangles. So, the angle-side relationships in triangles. If two sides of a triangle are not congruent, then the larger angle is opposite from the longer side. And if two angles of a triangle are not congruent, then the longer side is opposite the longer angle, the larger angle. So remember, angles and sides buddy up. This angle here, angle A, buddies up with the side that's across from him. So A is a buddy with side BC. And C buddies up with side AB. And B buddies up with side AC. So those are the buddies. And remember that the angles and their side buddies, they're related to each other. So if you have two sides that are not congruent, then the larger angle is opposite from the longer side. Okay? So they're telling us that AB is longer than BC. Okay, well, if AB is longer than BC, then AB's buddy, C, should be bigger than BC's buddy, A, which is what they say here. And then if two angles of a triangle are not congruent, then the longer side is opposite from the larger angle. And so they're telling us that we have angle Z, and his buddy is this side, and we have angle Y, and his buddy is this side. And then they tell us down here that Z is bigger than Y. So the side opposite from Z, XY, should be longer than the side opposite from Y, XZ. So pause a moment and let that sink in. Now let's see if we can figure out. Name the angles from smallest to largest. So remember, the longer the side, the larger the angle buddy. So 2 1/8 goes with angle E. All right. And 2 goes with D. And 1 1/4 buddies up with F. Now these here are side lengths, but based on what you know about the side lengths, you can decide what angle is bigger than which one. So you can order, is angle F bigger than D? I don't know. Pause the video and figure that out and write the answer on your note sheet. Now, we're going to name the sides from shortest to longest in this triangle. Okay? So remember, first you need to figure out what is the measure of this angle. Remember, there's 180 degrees in a triangle, so figure out what's the measure of that angle. And then figure out this angle goes with this side, this angle goes with that side, and this angle goes with that side. So if you know which angles are biggest to smallest, then you can figure out the sides opposite from them. You can figure out their order of biggest to smallest. And so pause the video and try this on your paper. Now, triangles have 3 sides, but not every 3 side lengths can make a triangle. So you can have a triangle that's made out of one side's 7, one side's 4, one side's 4. That's possible. But you cannot do a triangle where one side is 7, one side's 3, and one side 3. The 2 short sides won't be long enough to meet each other in the middle. It won't work out. No matter how you arrange those sides, it would not work out. And the rule for how we decide which side lengths we can have, which ones will meet up to make a triangle, is this. The sum of any 2 side lengths of a triangle has to be greater than the 3rd side length. Now we have a picture here. All right, so this green side, that's exactly the same length as this one. This red line is exactly the same length as this red side. And this orange is exactly the same as that orange. And we're going to prove that the sum of any 2 side lengths is longer than the 3rd one. So if we add together the green and the red, you can see that that's longer than the orange. Okay, so 2 sides added together are longer than the 3rd side. Or if we add together the red and the orange, that's longer than the green. And obviously, if we add together the green and the orange, then that's longer than the red. So the sum of any 2 sides, if you add the 2 side lengths together, it'll be longer than the 3rd side length of the triangle. So now, based on that, figure out on your paper the answer to this question. If yes, then just go ahead, and if not, then explain why not. And then figure out on your paper, this question, we've got some questions that are not on your paper. Okay? That's okay. Get out a separate sheet of paper then. So this question, figure this out on a separate sheet of paper. Tell whether these 3 sides can make up a triangle. If yes, great. And if no, then explain why not. Figure out whether these 3 sides can make up a triangle. They tell you that, they tell you that x equals 6. Okay, so first plug in 6 for all the x's, and then decide whether these side lengths can make up a triangle. If yes, indicate that. You need a separate sheet of paper for this. And if no, then say why not. Again, this is a separate sheet of paper. Okay? Also, there is a question in your notes for you to try. Okay, and it says, can a triangle have side lengths of 8, 10, and 12? Why or why not? So that's an additional question for you to try in your notes. Pause the video and get caught up to this point. Now we have one last question. We can go from San Francisco to San Jose, Oakland to San Jose, and San Francisco to Oakland. The distance from San Francisco to San Jose is 51. The distance from Oakland to San Jose is 46. And they want to know what are possible lengths, possible distances you can have from San Francisco to Oakland. This is a triangle, so remember 51 plus x needs to be bigger than 46. And 46 plus x needs to be bigger than 51. So figure out, you're probably going to have to do some inequalities. Figure out what are the possible ranges. What's the smallest thing x can be? What's the biggest thing x can be? You need to do this on a separate sheet of paper, so pause your video and do that now. All right, and now we're going to try it with 2 triangles. So we just got done looking at 1 triangle and what do we know about 1 triangle. And now we're going to look at what happens with 2 triangles. Okay, the hinge theorem. It says if 2 sides of 1 triangle are congruent to 2 sides of another triangle. So if we have 2 sides in 1 triangle that are exactly the same length as 2 sides in a different triangle, But the included angle, the angle that's made up of those two sides, is not the same in both triangles. Then the longer third side is across from the larger included angle. And if two sides of the converse says that if two sides of one triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the third sides are not congruent, then the larger included angle is across from the longer third side. Now I have a picture of this. Okay, we have two triangles, this one and this one, and the orange sides are equal to each other, and the pink sides are equal to each other. But you can see that the angle in the bigger triangle is larger than the angle in the smaller triangle. Okay, so this angle here is big, okay, and this angle here, that's a smaller angle. Okay, the sides are the same length, but the angles are different. That means that the third side, the side that's across in the bigger triangle, the side that's across from the bigger angle should be bigger or longer than the side that's across from the smaller triangle. So this side should be bigger than that side, which it is because it's across from the bigger angle. So you need to take a moment to pause the video and write down these two theories, the hinge and the converse, in your notes. And then you also need to draw a picture in your notes so you can understand what's going on. Pause the video and do that in your notes packet. Now we have some problems to do. This one's in your notes packet. Compare angle BAC, so compare, let me get my pen. Okay, compare angle BAC, this angle right here, to angle EDF, that one there. So say, are they equal to each other? Is one bigger? What do you know about those two? And then this one's also in your notes packet. Compare the length of side BC to the length of side AD. Are they the same? Is one bigger? Is one smaller? How do you know? Pause the video and do that in your notes packet. Okay, now this one you will need to complete on a separate sheet of paper. This is on a separate sheet of paper. Compare sides EF and FG. Okay, we're going to compare sides EF and FG. First of all, we know that these two sides are equal to each other. They're both 7. And we know that this side is equal to itself. I'll just mark it. Okay, so we have two sides in two different triangles that are equal to each other. But we need to see if these angles are equal to each other. So this is a linear pair. This angle and this angle are a linear pair. So you figure out what's the measure of that angle by saying 180 minus 82, because we want to find out what's the other angle that makes up that linear pair. Once you figure out what this is, decide, is this side longer than that side, equal, shorter? Again, this is on a separate sheet of paper. Here's another one. Find the range of values for x. Okay? And so here we have two sides that are equal to each other. This side goes with this side, and then this is another side match. Okay? And it looks like this triangle is flipped upside down from that triangle. So this angle kind of was in the same position as this angle is for this triangle. Okay, so if 80 is across from this side and 100 is across from this side, is this side longer than this one or shorter? And then you need to do an inequality to figure out what can x possibly equal. Pause the video. This is on a separate sheet of paper. And we're done. So again, make sure that you've gotten through all the examples, both in your notes packet and the ones that you had to do on a separate sheet of paper. And then show it to me so that way you can get your daily grade. Thanks for watching.